Hi, I'm Bernie Wild.
And I'm Susan Wild. In this video, we're going to talk about something that nearly everyone does, but that you may do more when you're traveling or RVing, and that's eating out at restaurants.
Yeah, we're going to talk about our experience and how that's been changing and evolving. We'll cover such topics as customer service, cleanliness, and tipping.
One of the first things that has changed for us is the frequency in which we are eating out. It's just so much more convenient when you're traveling or exploring to grab something out, and unfortunately that has had some very negative effects on our diet. We're not able to choose our food ingredients and food quality nearly as well.
Yeah, we're not at home, so we're not eating at home. We're out adventuring and doing things. So some of the ways that we're trying to deal with this is the way that we did in the past. We eat before we leave and eat when we get back. And if we want something while we're out, we'll try to take it with us. That doesn't always work that way. We're finding that we typically just wait and eat later in the day and don't eat too much in the morning sometimes. So that's been helping quite a bit.
Yeah, and as most people are aware, eating out can be very expensive, and we have noticed not only an increase in price, but a decrease in portion size, which
that's
doesn't help on either
obvious.
end.
Yeah. Something very important that we've been experiencing on the decline has to do with customer service. This isn't just in our personal experience, but how we see others being treated in restaurants and places like this. It's, in our opinion, on the decline. It just doesn't seem that friendly at all, and we don't feel like customer service is something that you can totally train into somebody. We think you have to have some starting ground there. The person has to be a good person, a happy person, somebody that likes giving and helping others, and then you can top that off with some tips and some other training and ideas and things.
And a lot of it falls on the management and the ownership of the business to provide that expectation and that example themselves. We've seen things like not only not being smiled at and welcomed in, but almost being made to feel like we're bothering people, and that just does not go over very well.
Yeah, and much of this, I think, has to do with the hiring pool. They're really in some murky waters in some places with regard to the hiring pool. I've talked to managers and owners and asked them, what's up, and they've confided in me and said that, we're just hiring people that don't have a severely bad record and can show up. And so as long as, I guess, they haven't committed a mass murder in a restaurant, they're in some places. And so there's that.
Another change that we've noticed is in regard to cleanliness in the restaurants. It's very rare to walk into many restaurants and find a clean table, or where there's not food all over the floor and the seats. It's very kind of disheartening. We see people, we bring wipes, of course. We see other people bringing wipes in and having to wipe down and clean their own tables before they can sit down.
Yeah, and this has been with different types of, not just fast food. This has been in one we would call middle of the road restaurants that you expect to be up on their game a little bit more, very service oriented restaurants are dropping the ball, and they could go back to square one, in my opinion, on using hot soapy water or whatever, because just taking a rag that's been laying around and going from table to table with it and just making a slurry mess on the tables isn't cleaning, in my opinion. But even that would be a step up from what we've been experiencing. This isn't all places, and we're not trying to just badmouth the whole industry. A lot of it's they don't have enough help, and there's a lot of reasons for this, but we are seeing that the bathrooms aren't quite up to par and just filthy. I mean, you're at a restaurant and you go in there and it just makes you wonder about their standards and what else isn't going right in the back. And this leads to employees, and maybe this is that murky bottom of the hiring pool again, but some of them look quite disheveled, and we've seen them with runny noses and on and on and on. Just they're not taking care of themselves, and you just wonder what their standards are with the food and the preparation in the back. So Again, we're not trying to hammer this out too much on people, because we do understand all the things that go into it, but it is becoming alarming.
Yeah, and it does seem somewhat surprising that this is something that would be on the decline.
Another thing that we've noticed is changes in hours and days of operation.
Yeah, and this seems to be quite frequent. You can look at online information, even the restaurant's website, and it will say they're closed when they're open, or open when they're closed, or they're closed during certain weekdays. Just definitely a lot more limited hours and close times.
Yeah, and that calling is very important. I'm always asking Susan when she tells me, I go, who said they're closed or open? Because we have gotten to places, like Susan said, the website may say that they're open and they're not, or one of the apps that we use may say that they're open or closed, and it may be the opposite. So we're always checking with that. So calling is very important. This is something else that we've noticed with this, is that in the past it seemed like if somebody didn't show up for work on the schedule, that everyone else would just have to suck it up and cover for that person and do more work. But it seems like in recent years that they've learned that if somebody doesn't show up, you just close the dining and just have carry out.
Yeah, and it's just definitely not the same experience.
Right.
In light of all of these observations that we've shared, something that's been surprising is the change in expectations in tipping. Now, tipping has always been a part of the food service industry for the most part, and it primarily started because they were able to, in many states, pay food service workers a lower than minimum wage, anticipating they would make up for that in tips. Well, now many states are paying full minimum wage, if not more, and then still expecting tipping on top of that.
Yeah, and this subject is a little bit difficult for us because it is something that we've always done. We've always believed in tipping, and more so in the past, but we have been becoming disenchanted by the trend, all the things that we've spoken about before this, and also the expectation, I think, or even the demand of putting that tip out there more strongly has been quite obvious. And I think we're not alone in this. I think a lot of people are feeling this and starting to express this. And again, this isn't pointed at the person who's trying to make do and get home and buy diapers on the way home with the tips and things like this. We completely understand that, and are always we're still participating in tipping. But this percentage thing that got me is that someone had said recently near me that, well, because of inflation, the tip percentage is going up. And I stopped and I said, what do you mean? And yeah, the percentage number has to go up to like 20, 25 or something because of inflation. And I said, no, that the percentage already takes care of itself. And I explained that if something was $100 and you got 15% of that, that's $15. And so if the price went up to $200 and you got 15% of that, then that's $30. Yeah. You're already getting your increase based on the increase of the product or service price. So anyway, this trend has become alarming to us, and it's doesn't seem to be going away, but we think it probably will, because it is starting to backfire a little bit in some places. Yeah,
a lot of these places are using these apps and tablet systems where the tip comes up and they're expecting a tip before you've even gotten your food, received your meal, had any service of any kind whatsoever. And that just seems very I don't know, disconcerting to us.
Yeah, it's not based on the quality or the service. It's just a demand that's made up front, and it's not polite, and it just doesn't make a lot of sense to us.
It seems very awkward for the customer and for the employee.
Yes. We're certainly not trying to bash the industry, and we hope that you can see the good in what we're trying to express in this video. Comment and let us know your feelings on this. We'd love to read them.
And please remember to share, subscribe, and click on that little notification bell.
Thanks for watching. Well, the service here is pretty good, but it's delivered by a robot. I'm not sure who gets the tip though.
必说的一个大船的标榜。